I could see you guys in 2 days.
What?
Is it 2 days? 2 days, right?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
We're going to see each other in 2 days, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It's been a while.
Man,
When was the last time we were all together?
Louisville at the...
Okay, yeah.
We did a live podcast at the Maker Faire.
Yeah. That was 2 years ago. Was that right?
3 years ago.
3?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
This is such an old man conversation.
Seriously.
22. It was in 22.
I remember because my knee surgery was...
Right.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. A couple of days now, we're all meeting up in Boston, near Boston, for Making It 500. There are still tickets. By the time this show goes out, the show will be tomorrow. So
Yes.
if you're listening to this, when it comes out and you don't have tickets for tomorrow, there are still tickets for tomorrow available. Links in it. So come join us. It's going to be a really good time. I'm looking forward to it.
If this is your first time hearing about it, you are too late.
Yes.
No, the tickets are for a head count more than anything. It's not.
Yeah, they're free, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, the tickets are just to make sure that Carolina, our sponsor, has enough of a head start to know how many people to expect for food and gifts and such and such.
Yeah. And they're doing a lot. Like, Carolina has been awesome with this whole process. They are really doing every bit of the work, as far as I'm concerned.
I made 400 pencils the other day. Remember you guys were laughing at me that it was going to take so long? I just randomly set up the grid that I sent you guys a picture of, that I just dropped the pencils in, and the grid was exactly 50. And so there was 4 boxes of 100 pencils, so I got 400 pencils. And I laid out, I just dumped out half the box and stuck it in the little rack that holds them in position for the etching. And then I pulled those out and threw in the next batch, and it was exactly 50. I just randomly made that grid to hold the pencils while they get their graphic etched on them. So it has the date, it has our logo, Making It 500, which is really, I just randomly picked the font, and then I did a quick Google search of Carolina's new logo, and then I put that in there. Screen grab, outline, graphic, etch.
Nice.
So that took, while I was also working on the lathe, so I'd set it up to cut, and then one cut took about 20 minutes, and then I changed it. So over the course of 2 days, like randomly in the background, it happened very quickly. Over 2 days, very quickly. You think I was like one pencil at a time and like tediously setting up the pencil with like sweat dripping off my nose and then doing the next one. No, went fast.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know like you did that work to have something to give away. I did not do any work to have anything to give away at the thing, so I'm sorry.
I'm thinking about making.
Grab a bunch of stickers and bring them so that people can take stickers. But
Dave brought some stickers. There's going to be some stickers. I'm gonna make. I think I might make, just because it's something I've been playing with lately. I've been doing these etching on axe heads, so I think I'm going to make a commemorative logo. Just whip up a logo for the commemorative 500th, Making It 500, with like some details in it, and just etch like 3 axe heads, just to bring 2 or 3 axe heads.
You and your free time blows my mind.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I think I'll just make 3 custom etched axe heads with custom logos on them. No big deal.
They're already on a handle, so I'll just leave them. I'll just fix them up a little bit. But just the laser etch and then just wire wheel it is really simple. You just set up the file. Making the file at the computer is the easiest part. Is the hardest part of the easiest process. The hardest part of an easy thing.
That's a country song right there. The hardest part of the easiest process.
That's hilarious. Cool.
So,
well, you've been busy doing that stuff. I assume you've also been doing other stuff. Well, I know you've been doing other stuff. You've been doing porch poles.
Yes, I've been doing the porch poles. Last time we spoke, I think I might have only had 1 done. Now I have 8 done. And you stepped away for a minute, but I was telling Dave, it was taking me 3 or 4 hours each. And now it's taking me about 45 minutes to an hour. That's if I don't get any phone calls or if my earbuds don't die and I'm going fiddling trying to plug my earbuds back in. It's gotten much quicker, and I have a real system down. So I made number 8 last night. Yesterday I made 2 in one day. I've been trying to do at least 1 a day. And so now I'm up to 8.
Now, is it faster because you've changed the process, or you've just gotten you just know it and it's just you're moving through it faster?
Yeah, I'm just moving through it. I mean, I'm sure I don't use a lathe often, and I don't have the best lathe tools. Like Pat sent me a really good image of how to use a skew to get really whack through but I don't have a good skew, which I could probably make one. I have enough chisels where I could grind the end, but I'm just working my way through it with the crummy tools that I have. And somebody that's better on a lathe with better tools might get it done in like 15, 20 minutes, believe it or not. But I'm just taking my time because I want to creep up on the pattern. I have the very first one that I made is front and center in front of the lathe so that I use it as a guide. So the first one I drew, or the first one I made rather, I'm using that to make sure every other one is at least as close as possible to that. And there are like a couple of little mistakes where I might take a little too much here, a little too much there, but they're going to be 5-6 feet apart. You won't notice. I realized yesterday, because I'm going to change the soffit a little bit where the porch post lives at the top of the column or at the top of the beam that holds the porch up. It's 100 linear feet from the 3 sides. It goes 1, 2, 3 sides around my back of my property, or around the back of the house. So it's 100 linear feet, and that's why I need 11 porch poles. They're not evenly spaced. There's a couple of spots where there's steps, so the steps are open wider than on each 3 sides. Anyway, it's 11, and I'm almost done. Today, I have to go. I did a quick recon trip last night because I need 1 more porch pole. This whole time, I thought I needed 9 porch poles, but the number 9 was the height that they need to be.
Oh.
So I misunderstood. So the whole time I'm thinking I only need 9, but I need 11. I miscounted. So I have 10 pieces that I cut in April, and there's a dead tree laying on its side behind the racetrack. So I'm going to go over there today with a chainsaw and a chain and drag it out with my truck, and that's going to be my 11th porch pole.
Wow.
So I looked yesterday. What's that?
Same kind of tree, same wood?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get the same species. It's a pine tree, just a skinny little pine tree. So there's about a 10-inch tree down behind the racetrack. I knew that every time there's a storm, one of the trees fall down. There's about 100 trees on the property where the go-kart track is, and half of them are dead. So I just said, there's got to be one knocked over. It is, but it's in a precarious spot, so I'm going to have to get a long chain and pull it up the hill. When you go to the racetrack property, it's 2 acres right on Main Street, but the whole back of the go-kart track property is on a big hill that goes down to a creek. It's almost like it goes down to a plateau, and then it used to be old train tracks in the 1800s, and then it goes back down to a creek. So it's a really interesting back there. It's like an archaeological dig back there. There was an old train track that went 10 miles, and it goes right along the creek, and it goes right behind the go-kart track. But all the train tracks are gone now. It's just the plateau where the train track was. In 1840, the big old train disaster. This is true. It happened in the property. If you look at a big aerial map of my property, my 40 acres and everybody else's multiple acres all touch in the middle. And that's where you hear the coyotes and all the crazy sounds, because it's like no man's land in the middle. That's where guys like to go hunting. But the train tracks came through there across where the creek got deep, across a bridge, and the bridge collapsed in 1840.
Oh.
And all the ruins of the train and everything were there for years, and the train tracks, but it's all been taken up. I guess they needed to steal probably during some war effort or something. Everything was scavenged up. So now you can't see any evidence of it anymore. It's 100 plus years ago. But there's a commemorative plaque. It says the great train disaster of 1840. The trestle collapsed while the train was going over it.
Oh,
that was before they had bridge inspectors.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah. So that, like, sometimes one time in 20 years, I took a walk right to the site, and I walked around and I looked, and you could kind of see where it was. But now there's somebody bought all that property, and there's a big, beautiful home there, so you can't go there anymore. Anyway.
Crazy.
East Durham train disaster of 1840.
Completely unrelated to that. Totally unrelated to that. You were talking about how the porch poles were far enough away from each other that the changes wouldn't, if they were a little bit off, it wouldn't matter. Yeah. And that got me thinking about, it would be really cool. It wouldn't work probably because they were so far apart. But if you were to do a similar thing that you're doing now, but with a fence to where, or like a railing to where you had balusters. Is that what they're called? The uprights that go in? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So if you were to turn those, but, you have maybe a 20-foot span and you have a whole bunch of them that have to be in there. Instead of turning all of them exactly the same, you intentionally modify every one a little bit from the one before it. So when they're in line, maybe like a certain feature moves from the bottom to the top over the course.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Like that, it would take a lot of planning and a lot of patience to get it right. But when you stood back and looked at,
I was like a wave could go through them.
Yeah, like some sort of wave or
that's interesting. That's really interesting because I think it's on. I've noticed it, but I think it's on my set of stairs here. The balusters going up the stairs, every other one is the same, and every one in between is different set of the same. So they're not exactly the same next to each other. So there's two patterns, and they're overlapped. So it's A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B as you go up the stairs. And I wonder if that's because they were handmade so long ago. The guy's like, let's not put the same two exactly near each other because people are going to see the indiscretion. I just thought of that. I got to go check that out. I mean, they look machine made, so who knows? Maybe it's just a styling decision.
Or they were originally twice as far apart, and then they were like, kids keep falling through these down off there. We could probably add some more, and so they just picked a different pattern. That's probably what happened. Cool. David, what have you been doing?
I just finished up and put out a video yesterday of the ham spear sign that I remade, bigger and out of wood and
it looks great,
all backlit. It came out. It's one of my favorite projects.
It
came out.
Cool.
They look absolutely amazing in person, and it's one of those things that's kind of hard to film because it's backlit, and so you have to either expose for the backlit or you have to expose for everything else. So I'm doing a little bit of trickery in the edit, trying to mask things and make it look right, but it just looks so much better in person than it does on camera. And so I made two of them, one for the rental and then one for the art show that I'm going to be doing next year. And that's and so I've been still slowly working on the huge cassette artwork, but I haven't gotten too much further in the last couple of weeks. I'm not motivated to finish that video because I don't know what the hook is. There's a lot of, I don't need this project until the art show for next year, but I do want to it's big, so it's in the way. So I do want to finish it, and I'm still excited about it, but there's a lot of laser, there's a lot of CNC work in it, and I don't know what the story is in the video to make it appealing, to make it clickable. And that's one of the struggles. Like if I made a huge cassette tape to hang on the wall with a CNC, I mean, that's a 10 of 10 right there. 10 of 10 is a bad YouTube video. So I'm trying to see if there's a story that I could tell to make it a little bit more interesting.
You know what I've thought of from time to time? That you could steal this idea. Interlace it with something completely different. Like do a build video that's interlaced with like a real interesting vlog story or something.
There's a YouTuber, he's an artist called Marco, Marko, and he puts out like a video once a month or once every 2 months. It's very sporadic. And once in a while he'll just be like, I've got 10 projects that I haven't finished. Let's just finish all 10 projects. And so then they're all kind of interlaced like a Quentin Tarantino movie throughout. And then it's all done. I'm like, So you saying that might be the trigger that I need. Like, I'm going to work on something else, but I'm also working on this. And somehow maybe they connect in some sort of weird way.
I didn't really think of it, but what triggered the idea was, have you seen these Instagram posts where it's like, did you know that in 1855, and it's a computer voice and the guy's giving you some crazy fact, but the whole time you're watching somebody like scoop ice cream and make like ice cream cones and scrape tiles.
Yeah.
That's like some weird genre of TikTok, Instagram, reel scrolling disease where you get stuck on this guy's voice and you're like you're watching like wrenches being stamped and it has nothing to do with what he's talking about and you just stay stuck on it. So
yeah.
That's a real interesting concept, is to do two things at the same exact time in the same 10-minute video.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, because it could be just as simple as like 10 design tricks that I use, whatever, and just kind of put them in there.
Anytime I try and do a 10
to explain something else rather than the thing. So,
I got to try this because anytime I've put like 10 ways of this or 10 ways of that, it's always been 10 of 10. So I'm going to try one way of the best way of the one way.
Yeah. The only way to make a
yeah.
I'll try that.
Do you know what YouTube titles that I am so sick of right now is So Easy It Should Be Illegal. I keep seeing these titles and I hate that title so much because it worked for somebody somewhere, and so somebody's copied it and then somebody's copied the copy, and anyway,
should be illegal.
Should be illegal. That title should be illegal. I'm also pulling out the Casio Kids keyboard thing that I started a long time ago, where I was integrating all the guitar pedals and a tube amplifier inside it. That has been pulled off the shelf, and it's not going to be out maybe until the end of the month, but that is something I'm working on again too. So I need to get all these old projects off the shelf to clear that space, the physical space and the mental space.
And it's funny. Okay, so you're talking about that artist where he would take several things and finish them all up. You could do that. You could make one video that was finishing all these things, but because of our job, you need those videos to be separate videos.
I know.
You can't just be like, here's, the last 3 months worth of stuff I'm going to stick into one video. Like, that doesn't work. You can't do that.
It would, if I could make my living on YouTube AdSense alone, that would be easier and better. But I require sponsorship, so I have these deadlines, and I gotta do that. I don't have a product that I sell. I have all these little tiny income sources from different things like Patreon and the Making It Patreon, and I do sell some merch, but nothing to make a living off of. And so I require sponsorships, and I need to figure out how to not require that in the future, so I could do these bigger things and take my time and make bigger videos.
That is the conundrum right there.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And it is not a complaint. I am so thankful for what I get to do, and I absolutely love it. And it's crazy that some company wants to pay me a bunch of money to talk about their product for 60 seconds, and I get to make a silly backlit sign of a photo that I took in Yellowstone, right? Like, that's crazy.
It's amazing that we get to do this. And it's not, I agree with you, if I ever sound like I'm complaining about it, it's not meant to be a complaint. But it is a weird puzzle that we have to figure out, just like with any job. Somebody has to figure out how much you put into it versus what you get out of it, and how do you increase both what you put in and what you get out of, So that's a thing we have to constantly struggle with. And the fact that somebody wants to pay us to talk about their thing, if their thing is probably unrelated to what we make, like, that's kind of the best case scenario.
Yes. Yep.
It's not like, talk about our jock itch cream, and you have to make something that's related to the jock itch cream. Like, I don't know how that's going, So that's pretty amazing. And I've actually run into something recently where I had, and this doesn't happen very often, but I ran into something where I had sponsors competing for the inventory, where, I make like 2 videos a month, and that's it. And I don't want to make more than that because I want the rest of my life, right? But my agent was like, look, man, we got like 3 or 4 who want to be in this month. Can you come up with some other stuff to make? And, my tendency would be like, well, yeah, that's money. Like, that can set me up for some security over the next few months more than I would have had otherwise. But ultimately I was like, I don't want my month to be so jam-packed that, that I'm just coming up with things to do to take advantage of a potential sponsor. But it also felt really weird to be like, well, no, sorry, Take your money elsewhere.
Yeah.
like I felt like kind of dumb doing that, but it's a weird thing to have to like balance the inventory, I guess is a way, which goes back to what we were talking about a minute ago, where your inventory is all of those projects. And if you were to take 4 pieces in an inventory and stick them into one, that's one potential sponsorship, one income versus 4.
I saw this quote the other day, and I don't remember the exact quote, and I have no idea where the quote comes from, but it was something like, judge a person by the work that they turn down. And I thought, that's interesting.
That is. You often don't hear about the work that people turn down.
Right.
Which is also interesting. Cool. Well, I've been working on a desk organizer thingy, which doesn't sound very interesting now that I say it. And I'm not sure I don't know what the hook is going to be for this one. It's the same kind of deal. It's a thing that was, like, I'm looking at it right here. It's in front of my keyboard, or behind my keyboard. And it has made my desk better. It has made all of the mess and everything that is accumulated on my desk, all the little tools and the stuff, organized. I think it's cool. I think it's modular and it can change. But if I just say in the video, I made a desk organizer, it is going to be a 15 out of 10. Like there's nobody's going to watch that. So there again, I don't know what the hook is. I got to figure that out. But the cool thing about this little, and I can't really show you the whole thing because the camera is in the way, but I basically made a frame that matches my keyboard, and then I made these little drop-in organizers. And so like there's a couple with just little pockets for things that I use on a regular basis. There's one that has a magnetic charger in it, so my phone can be charged on it. There's one that has a bunch of SD cards in it they're separated by ones that have stuff on them and ones that are empty and ready to use. And then there's a whiteboard panel so I can jot down notes. In fact, I jotted down notes on it this morning and that felt really cool to actually use it for the reason it was made. But it's a really simple little thing that is modular, and you could print different or cut different drop-ins to make this thing completely your own. And it's useful. It's nice looking, but I don't know how to sell it. I don't know how to sell it, but I don't know how to pitch it, to people. So that's the thing I have to figure out this week is how I'm going to, package this. But that's really what I've been working on. I so it's Labor Day week. So some of us didn't work on Monday. Some of us did, Jimmy. But I kind of didn't on Monday because I was hanging out with family and stuff. And then on Tuesday, I woke up and didn't have to do work. Like I didn't have anything pressing. I've got a couple of videos shot. And so I decided to kind of take the day at a slower pace. But I think this is going to get to what we were talking about, is I still ended up, it was supposed to be a day off. Kids are back in school. I didn't have things to do. I didn't have work that had to be done. So I was like, just going to relax and just kind of take the day. But I ended up doing tons of work and it felt very different. And we were talking, the three of us were talking before we started recording, and it felt very different for me because I didn't have to film any of it. I didn't have to prove any of it. I didn't have to end up with a look thing. It was like taking stuff to the dumpster and sweeping that part of the room and, organizing this stuff to get it out of the way and shipping all the stuff that I needed to ship. It was just a bunch of little productive stuff. None of it was impressive. None of it was, worth, missing out on work for. But man, when the time came that I had time to actually knock things off the list, it felt really good. And Jimmy, it sounded like you kind of had a similar day on Monday.
Yeah. Well, when I finished the car, it's basically done. I'm going to do windows and seats and a few other videos going to be pulled out of that project. But when I finished the car, suddenly there's a vacuum, and I looked around. I'm like, oh, I still have the tow truck to work on. And I'm going to do probably more Patreon stories on the tow truck because the tow truck isn't that type of transformation that I really look for in my videos. I'm not a car channel in the way, but if you can't make a good transformation, I find it hard to make a video out of it. So by pulling the wheel off, changing the brakes, and putting it back together, for me, isn't good because I'm not spitting jewels of information. I'm like just trying to figure it out. So I don't necessarily dig into for instance, like a car fix as a good video, unless I'm like cutting the fender off and putting a new fender on it, like where there's major transformation. So I'm not all gung-ho about filming the tow truck. It'll be in the background, more of like a hobby project where I don't necessarily film formally. I'll do Patreon stories and stuff like that, but I won't do like a full formal video on it. At least I'm not feeling it at the moment. If things change, obviously I can. So Monday, with a negative space available, I'm obviously working on the porch poles, but I can get too wrapped up. So I just did one porch pole in the morning on Monday. And I said, today I can go play with the tow truck. The brakes are locked. I got the car running. Never ran, or at least it wasn't running when I bought it. I got the car running. It runs really, really good. I figured that out. I need to change the gas tanks, and I also need to unlock all 4 of the wheels. Now, if anybody's ever had it's like a 3500 K30. It's like the biggest model of a truck you can buy before you go to the next big one, which would be like have a box on the back or an 18-wheeler tow truck. So everything on it is bigger, stronger, heavier. My jack wouldn't pick it up. So I had to bring my forklift over there the other day and pick it up with the forklift. So picking it up with the forklift, then the camper that I got from Christian was in the way. So then I picked up the camper with the forklift that I moved at. So my Monday turned into like one thing into another thing into another thing. And it was really nice. It was a nice day off. I probably worked harder on my day off than I worked harder than 3 previous days. So I forget where I started going with this. You asked me a question, but that was my day off, is that I did 3 projects. So I ended up hooking the camper up, and I brought the camper to the house to have as an extra bedroom for Maker Camp in a month. So I hooked the camper up, which wasn't even, I woke up in that morning, it wasn't even a thought in my mind, but when I moved it with the forklift to get at the other side of the tow truck, to jack it up, to take the rear wheels off, it was a major day of, what is that disease that we all have now where you can't focus? What is that called? What was that?
ADHD.
Yeah. It was a perfect day of ADHD. It was a perfect day. It was a perfect day. I got like 7 things done, 7 big things done.
It was a junk drawer of a day. You got to look at it that way.
Yeah.
You don't look at it as a negative thing. It's like the leftover things that have to be dealt with.
Not a negative thing at all. But it was funny, if the forklift fit on the other side, because they were parked near each other over at the racetrack driveway. If they were near each other, I wouldn't even have like taken a second thought at the camper. And I had to pick it up and move it. I have like a thing that goes on the forklift that goes in the hitch. So I picked it up and moved it over. And I was like, I should bring that home today. I was like, you know what? I haven't driven it since Christian dropped it off. So I hooked it up to the truck and I slowly drove it home, stopped to check it. The lights worked, the brakes worked, everything worked. And then I got it in the backyard and I'm like, this is a really cool standalone office bedroom. I don't necessarily think I'll take it camping, but I'm going to outfit it so that it's basically a bedroom on its own. And it's got these, I'm probably saying it wrong. I think it's called jealous windows, where you crank it and they louvers open. Do you ever see like the 1960s and 70s, those windows that louver open? It's got those on all 4 sides. Only one of them is broken, which I think I could either fix. But today I'm going to look at a camper over at the Blackthorn, the resort where we do the Maker Camp. They always have abandoned campers that they junk, they get rid of them. And so I reached out to Austin. It's like, you got any junk campers sitting around? He goes, in fact, we do. He goes, come on by. I'll show you a couple that we're going to scrap. And so I might be able to pull some parts out of that. So, yeah. So the camper might also be another project. It needs a makeover, but it's in really good shape, except for a few spots. So just a few spots need a makeover. So I don't know if I'm going to redo the whole interior or just fix what's broken. For now, I might just fix what's broken. Because it's all original, so it would be a shame to rip out the 80% that's not bad.
Yeah.
Just to fix the 2 spots that have water damage. So it might be more Patreon videos.
I think a camper like that, or like a small Airstream, is probably in my future. Maybe in another 10 years or so. Like when the kids are all out of the house, Jenny and I've been talking about, like, we're gonna go to all of the national parks. Like that's one of those long-term,
I've been to a lot of national parks. It's fun.
And I think having a camper like that would make it a lot of fun if it's just the 2 of us, like with a full family. I think that'd be difficult, but So I think it's probably.
I always think too with these campers, there's always so many places to take a shower and go to the bathroom on the road. Even in you can just go in nature if you need to. To have a bathroom on board, it's like so complicated. I guess that would really only be if you have kids. So if I did do this over and got it, I would definitely get rid of the toilet in the bathroom.
It has a toilet in it?
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
You say this as a dude. It's probably a little bit different for the ladies.
But just the plumbing and it's complicated.
There's trees everywhere. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go in the truck stop. It's always a place. So I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not going to try to convince Jenny to go shower in a truck stop, just for the record.
But it does have a bathroom, like I said, because it's in fairly decent original shape. I'm not going to gut this one. But I'm thinking in terms of when you said Airstream, there's always Airstreams on Facebook Market that I look at. And they're by just a couple guys like us, or there's a few of them out there from guys like us where they gut it and then they just run out of steam. So instead of paying $30,000, you pay like $5,000, but there's nothing.
And it's already cleared out. Yeah.
So there's a lot of those that are tempting.
I'll probably do that one of these days. When I was growing up, my grandfather had like an RV type camper something. I remember a lot of the details. I remember it was like robin's egg blue on the outside. And there were multiple bedrooms in it. So it was big enough, and it wasn't towed behind. So he drove this thing. So it must have been pretty big. But I remember going on a few trips in this thing with my parents. And it would have been my grandparents, my parents, my brother and sister and I. So it was big enough for at least that many people. And the back of it, like the back room, probably wasn't just a bed, but it feels like in my mind that the entire back room was just a bed. Like it was like a doorway that went into a big bed. And that's like the only thing I remember, because I was young enough that I got to stay in that wherever we went. Sometimes I got to stay in with my grandmother in this back room, just like taking a nap and playing in this bed. And there were windows on the 3 walls. And so I just kind of remember this glowy, like there were curtains over the windows. And so it just kind of glowed and it was comfortable. And like, that's the thing I remember about that camper is like taking naps, I guess. But just being back in that little room, kind of playing with my grandmother but we went on several trips, pretty far. I think we drove I feel like we went to Williamsburg, Virginia one time, which is a good 10, 12 hours from here probably.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This thing will sleep 3 if I needed it to.
Oh.
It's pretty cool.
Jimmy's conversation about the junk campers tripped a couple memories, and so I'm going to get off track here and I'll bring it right back in. But have you guys ever been to like an actual junkyard for cars to pull parts off of?
Oh yeah, pick and pull. I used to go all the time.
So as a kid, that's how we got parts for the cars. Like you needed a new alternator, you went to the junkyard.
Same with me and my dad. The same thing.
And I totally forgot about these memories. But for me, it was like going to a museum and just looking at all of this junk, and you just think about all the history, and it's gotta be. And I know for my dad, it was probably a total chore. You're just looking at hundreds of stacked cars and pieces of junk. Then you gotta get underneath and pull these parts off. But for me, it was always a little fun. And it's probably why I like going to antique stores now, not even to buy anything, but just to look at stuff, because I'm so fascinated by all of that.
That reminds me, my dad's uncle Gus, who was an Italian immigrant. He married my grandfather's sister. His name is Gus Quadrosi, who spoke with a heavy, heavy Italian accent. So heavy, he hardly even spoke English. And my dad's uncle Gus owned a junkyard in Rockaway Beach. And when I was a little kid in the early 70s, we'd go now there's junk cars in there from like the 20s and 30s and 40s. And early Gus's junkyard, we'd go there, and it was like a pick and pull. You'd like pull parts off. And he got rid of it while I was still very young. His sons ended up starting a concrete company, and I think he eventually retired. But he was a blacksmith that started out making coaches for ice trucks. He would like build. This is like in the beginning of the century, and by the time I knew him, he was very, very old. But that led to him collecting these coaches and then slowly turning that coaches into a junkyard. And that's how he ended up with a junkyard, because he started as a blacksmith that just started collecting junk. So, but I love going to junkyards. There's one nearby here. I was going to go take a walk in there and look for a new project soon. I drove by it the other day. They got great stuff, even on the road edge.
Look for a new project.
Yeah.
You know what? It's been about 2 weeks since I bought a car. Let's go find a piece of junk to buy.
I'm writing
That
it on
is
my
not
list.
a joke.
It's not a joke. It's an absolute truth. He just said
Yeah.
it. Look at him. He's writing it down. He's like, oh, yeah, I should go buy a car
I
today.
just wrote go to Smiley's. That's the junkyard.
That's
That's
nice.
awesome.
I've been meaning to go. I just reminded myself.
I want to talk about our kind of topic and see if we have anywhere to go on that. But I also forgot to mention earlier that one of our Patreon supporters sent me a message. David Johnson sent me a message last week, or us a message, but he was recommending, because I was talking about buying the materials for our shed, right? Our pool house shed thing. And he recommended that I get the materials list and then go to the commercial desk to get a quote at the big box store, which I'd never even considered doing because I don't know that I didn't think that I qualified for whatever that desk is for. It seems bigger than me. So from my Fusion model, I built out the materials list, which was awesome, by the way. Check this out. Anybody who's watching on video, building the thing in Fusion seemed overkill, except that now I have every wall laid out, drawing this was automatic. And I have all of the spacing for every piece of lumber to build all the walls. So I can just take this out in the backyard and build the shed, which is pretty amazing. Anyway.
I totally love nerding out on that stuff. The actual building, whatever, the physical labor, meh. But the getting ready and all the prep, that's all fun.
Yeah. I like both parts of it. But anyway, so using the model, I was able to build out the full materials list really easily. And then I had put it into the Lowe's website to price it out. And I hadn't decided which store I was going to go to get the stuff, but Lowe's is the closest one to my house. So I was like, well, I'll just price it out there. After David sent me this message, I took that cart and went to that desk and said, like, look, I don't feel like I'm supposed to be here because this is for like big companies and stuff, but here, can you give me a discount on buying all of this stuff? And she was awesome. This lady's name was Love. Her first name was Love. She said that as long as and this is just a PSA for everybody, as long as the material cost is $2,000 or over, it can be a commercial something or other, and they can apply these discounts. So I ended up signing up for the credit card for Lowe's, which is not something I would typically do, but it was part of the process, and you get a bigger discount on future purchases. So when it's all said and done, she copied down my order, put it in the thing. She applied a bunch of like individual discounts because apparently lumber isn't discounted as much as everything else. So she applied some discounts. I ended up saving almost $400 and got free delivery and all this stuff.
That's great.
This is the same material. It's just by getting somebody to help me rather than like buying it online. So David, thank you for that suggestion. That was pretty fantastic. But if you're ever going to buy a bunch of stuff like that and it's over $2,000, go have a conversation with somebody at the pro desk. And I'm sure all stores do that. That was just, like I said.
It's funny because I go to Lowe's and Home Depot interchangeably all the time. And every time I go to Lowe's, they're like, what's your name? What's your number? You have I'm like, I have a card. So they type in, they go, oh, you have a $25 discount today. I was like, oh, awesome. But that never happens at Home Depot.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never signed up for the other one, so I'm not sure.
So I have credit cards for both of them. So
gotcha. So anyway, all that to say, I ordered all the material yesterday for the shed. And
great.
The only thing that I couldn't order, and I actually did order it, but they ended up canceling this part of it this morning. I got the email. For the roof, I got 20-foot 2x8s. And so I talked to, I don't know if I told you guys this or not, but I got an email from an architect after talking about it on here. This guy that had offered to help with the A-frame and stuff in the past. And he wanted to help and make sure that I didn't have any questions about, designing this structure and making sure that the spans were good and everything. And so I sent him a few different drawings and asked questions about spans and measurements and everything. It was awesome. He was super helpful, gave me a lot more confidence in what I had designed. And so the span of the roof, it's a single, like a really long pitch. So it's like one wall is high, the other one's low. So it's I don't know, it's a long pitch. The span is just under 16 feet, but it goes over the walls in both directions. So it ends up being like 19 and a half feet long.
Because of the dormer that comes out off the walls.
Yeah. So I had to get 20-foot 2x8s. And turns out 20-foot lumber is not stocked anywhere anymore.
No.
I could have sworn that it was. So I went down this whole design route with this in mind, thinking I could get 20-foot, but you cannot get it like at a store now. So they were able to special order it at Lowe's, but then I got an email this morning say that it was canceled. So I guess they can't do it. I found on Menards that you can order it. And so I'm going to give that a shot this morning and try to order those pieces from Menards and have them delivered. The thing that's not cool about it is that the discount the money that I saved at Lowe's is now being put into delivery fees at Menards just to get those boards. But, it works out, I guess. Anyway, so I made some progress in my day off the other day, was getting all of this material figured out and ordered. It's going to be delivered to the house next Tuesday. So like next Tuesday, I can actually start framing walls and stuff, which is very, very cool.
That's great.
But anyway, David, thank you for that tip on that. I appreciate it. So topic wise, we were talking about beforehand, like motivation. David, you said something about motivation, but you didn't give a lot of context.
Just, I'm wondering what you guys do to stay motivated because we're doing different projects every other week, but we're still kind of doing the same thing. And sometimes I do struggle with a little bit of motivation, which is why I change things up quite a bit. Or, I think I will say that I'm going to work on one thing, but then another idea pops in my head and I'm going to take a left turn and do this because this is what motivates me right now. Or I'm going to try to film this one a little bit different, maybe play with the edit a little bit more, but I'm always doing something I tell myself I'm doing something to push myself forward as far as maybe skill or storytelling or whatever. But I think I need these little changes to just get me excited, to keep me excited. And I'm wondering if you guys have the same struggles of staying excited or what you do to keep motivated.
I have so many things around me to keep me going. And I know I've said this before, once in a while I find myself scrolling for 10 minutes. I'm like, no, you can go work on the tow truck, or you can go work on the sawmill, or you can go work on the house. There's so many things to do. And like I said on Monday, I started the day cutting a pole, then I worked on the tow truck, then I worked on the camper, and then I also drove around in the car a little bit. And I was like, wood in the car and the Woody and the camper would look cool near each other. So I put them near each other. I'm like, that looks like a great picture. And then the birds started climbing on it. And there's so many different things to do. I'm also motivated by the fact that I want to keep physically moving because at my age, I'm 58, I'll be 59 in April, which I'm waiting to get an email from YouTube that says you're too old to YouTube anymore. I'm waiting for that email.
You're probably dead by now, so we're going to turn off your monetization.
It says, have you got a real job yet? Because, you're too old to be here. Like the old man at the club. Did you ever hear?
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock, you don't want to be the old guy at the club.
Yep.
So I'm motivated to keep moving, to keep my physical exercised. So that's a lot of motivation for me. And every once in a while, I just look around. If I don't have anything motivating me, I say, I have all the tools and I have all the materials. I can go to the leather shop. I can do this. So that is actually a good point where everything feels done, or at least my to-do list, my current to-do list is done. And I go, now is the time to invent something. So I might go right to Illustrator and start developing a pattern for leather, or I'll go to the shop and I'll tinker, or I'll weld something that I've needed, a towel rack that I've put off for years. So I look for those moments in time where there's nothing else to do. At least the current to-do list feels done. That's what I was saying. When the Woody was basically over the hump, I was like, oof, I just handed in my term paper. Now I can go on a trip. I can go do anything. I can go driving around looking for yard sales, not feel like I'm putting wasted time into something where it should be spent somewhere else. And that's very, very freeing creatively.
Yeah, once in a while, going back to like taking a day off, like I will take a day off, but that day off still means I'm going to go spend a few hours at antique stores and just see if I can find something for a future
100%.
project. Yeah.
No one's sitting in lounge chairs with a martini. No,
there is none of that. Even
no.
or like I am going to look through books and see if I can find inspiration, and then I'll start
100%.
sketching or drawing. I can't turn it off, even when
true.
I tell myself it's a day off.
When there's an empty gap in the action, I'll go to don't laugh at the name of the town, Coxsackie Antique Center. There's a town here called Coxsackie. So I'll go to the Coxsackie Antique Center and just walk around in there, because it's one of those antique centers where they churn the junk a little bit. It's never always the same stuff. Some of the places are like museums. If you go in now and a year from now, it'd be the same thing. But the Coxsackie Antique Center is one that always has good stuff. So definitely just searching for ideas. I'll walk through there and not buy anything, but come home with 4 video ideas.
Yeah. But to your original question about like motivation, I think one of the things, I definitely do that, where I get a new idea and it all of a sudden becomes the next thing I'm going to do. Like, and that happens on a regular basis. But I've also tried to delay gratification a little bit. I mean, in lots of ways. But I think there's something for me that it feels like it strengthens my resolve a little bit to just finish the thing and to wait on the next thing, or to not drop the current motivation, the current thing, for the sake of the shiny thing. And I don't know that that there's actually any strength in that, but there's something about, I think, life in general, that when you drop the current thing for the next thing on a regular basis, it becomes a habit. And I don't know that that's always the best habit in my life. So sometimes I've been trying to force myself to keep a future idea at arm's length. Like I'm going to write it down and then I'm going to forget it, so that I don't spend time thinking about it. I don't feel like I have to solve it yet. That is for the future, and I will get to that future. But right now I have to dig in and I have to finish this thing and do it well. Otherwise the past 2 weeks worth of work will be wasted for, like if you quit too early on something, if I quit too early on something, then I'm giving up work that I've already done for it to become less than it could have been. So I'm trying usually to delay that gratification a little bit. And I haven't found that by doing that, it's diminished the future idea at all. In fact, it actually makes them better. I could have jumped into this shed thing earlier on design number 1. I ended up doing 5 separate building designs on this. And I think by delaying it, it forced me to like actually figure it out and try something different, and, and think about things that I wouldn't have thought about if I had just like, this is exciting to me, I'm going to jump right into it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to order too much material or the wrong material, and then I'm going to have to deal with all that. So for me, that's how I'm, in the last couple of years, trying to deal with that motivation and shiny object syndrome thing, where it's just like kind of not throwing ideas away. You just keep them at arm's length until the palette is clear, and then you can like really dig into them. That's what.
Part of the way I am wired is motivation doesn't mean anything. I need outside forces I need deadlines. And so this goes against everything I was saying earlier, but I need to have these sponsorships so I will finish the project, because I don't have a choice. This is what I need to finish this. I don't have a choice. I got to do this. And having this art show in the spring, there's no date set yet, but there's a season, and it's, the spring of 2026. this has motivated me to work on actual art. I've been saying this for years on this podcast. It's like, I just want to get more into art, but I don't. And I go in and I make a stupid chair or, a piece of furniture. That's not art. But now I have a reason. I have, there's a deadline. There's this outside force that just eliminates motivation, and it's just action.
Yeah. And I think that applies to me as well. I mean, those, if I didn't have the sponsorships, I would be far less motivated to stay on task and to get something done. But I do love the fact that, like we mentioned earlier, most of those sponsorships are unrelated to the thing I'm making. So I get to, it is
Freestyle.
it's freestyle. It's like a point in time, but it's not a point in a subject in time. It's just, I have this date that I have to hit, but I don't have to come up with an idea to match the thing and just get to, yeah. I was thinking about this a minute ago. So the shed thing has been interesting to me for a long time, right? And I've been wanting to do it. I've been chomping at the bit. I've been trying to design for it. But there's a little bit of danger or risk in it as well, in that I've put a lot of eggs into this basket. I've spent a lot of time planning, which is kind of free if you think about it. I just spent a lot of money on materials. And I'm spending in that inventory that we talked about, multiple pieces of inventory on this idea. So this building is going to be, it's got to be at least 4 videos, maybe 3 if I really crammed it in there. But that's a big swing. That's a big swing for something that maybe nobody will watch. And in the last several months, I've had several videos that are 10 of 10, 9 of 10. 7 of 10, and they don't do super great. And so by committing to, and I mean, Jimmy, like, this because you do this on a regular basis, where you you buy a car or a building or whatever, and then you're like, all right, the next 10 videos are going to be me doing this thing.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that as a commitment, hoping it goes well enough to continue to be motivated to do it.
Well,
but
I have to keep reminding myself I'm doing this for me. Who's the white guru with the white hair that used to make hip hop albums? I always forget his name.
Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin is, he's the one that. Rick Rubin is the one that always says, "You make for you. You don't make for the audience." And he's like, true artist, you got to make for yourself. And as much as I joke about Rick Rubin, I do respect a lot of the things he says. I think it's really important. You got to make for you. And when I'm doing that house, that's something. If I was asked to do something in a vacuum, it had nothing to do with an audience or anything, I would want to do that. If I had something to do with a car that didn't have anything to do with an audience or pleasing subscribers or anything, I would make that car. And so that's why when people around me who know me well, they go, if you won Powerball and you had $100 million in the bank, you would live your life exactly as you live it right now. I might have a supercar to take a rip around once in a while. They say if I won, if I had $1 million, you might not know it, but there would be clues. But but in general, I wouldn't change much.
Of old cars at Jimmy's house, just stacked from them.
He just buys a junkyard instead.
Yeah. Dude. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. Smiley's is 40 acres of cars. It's 2 towns away. It's 10 miles away. 40 acres of cars that have been there for like 50 years. And last time I walked around, and that was a couple years ago, he goes, "You want to buy the place? It's for sale." I'm like, this place is like a nuclear fun site. Nobody would. This place would be. I'd buy it for like $100,000. But he probably thinks it's worth like $1 million.
Yeah.
But it's 40 acres of cars, oil-soaked ground. Like when you look at it, it's like one of those things when it's like there's always there's always that person in the neighborhood. It shows like an aerial view of the property, and you could tell like the people just are hoarders. This is 40 acres. I'll send you guys an aerial view of the property.
Huge.
And you're so excited about it.
If it became for sale and it was like somewhere in the area of $100,000, I would be like, I'll take it. But he just built this giant castle of a house on it. He had a house that burned down and he had some insurance money. Everyone's like, did you see the house that he built on Smiley's? He built a house that's tremendous. It's like the Brands Davidian building. Crazy.
Great reference.
Yeah, it's crazy. But So I would love to own a junkyard. That's actually one of the things I want to do. If I have some mess around money, I'd buy the whole junkyard. I would. I would just literally just like set up a welding and a torch right in the middle of it all, and just slowly pick from like the circle in the middle would get bigger and bigger because I would just keep building junk from whatever's within arm's reach.
But then you'd have to buy another 40 acres to put all the stuff that you made out of the stuff from the junkyard.
No, I just like organize it into sculpture and just put it on the roadside.
Oh, people just drive by and pick up a sculpture.
Like John Chamberlain stuff. Look up John Chamberlain.
That's funny. Well, all right. Any other thoughts on motivation? I don't know that we made any progress other than just complained about our motivation.
But... No, if I had a junkyard, my motivation would be solved. If I owned the Uncle Gus junkyard, oh God. I drive past. It's been a while, but I drive past where Uncle Gus's junkyard was, and I always ask myself, what happened to all that? It all probably got turned into like sheet metal studs somewhere, like all that metal that was there.
So, I mean, back to the big swing kind of thing. Something like that, barring the winning the lottery situation. If you were to commit to buying a junkyard and then you're just going to make sculpture out of what was there, like that is a gigantic swing. But it's the same kind of idea where I'm going to do one thing, and I'm going to bet on the fact that this one thing is going to work over and over and over. And that's something I've never had to do with my channel because I've changed the thing every week. And it's maybe that's why I do it. I don't know. I never really thought about it, but I don't have to commit to one thing and hope that it continues to work. I get to like switch from one thing to the other. And even in a short term, in a 4 or 5 video, grouping, I'm already worried about this thing that may not work. Would you care about that if you were to get a junkyard, and would you care about it working long term, or are you just going to pivot within the junkyard? I don't even know the question that I'm asking other than like,
honestly, when I look at, when I look at my life and I look at, every other video, like for instance, there's a 5 or 6 videos on the Cadillac. One of them is at like 160,000 views or less or so. So the rest are all at like 100 or 90,000. Like, why does that one video like kind of blow a little bit up, but not really? Nothing's blowing up. But when I look at my life, I'm like, I'm living a really, really charmed life. I'm really happy with the work that I'm doing. Whether the videos get 1 million views or 100,000, I'm still proud of them. I don't look at them and go, that was a failure. I'm really happy with the work that I'm producing. I don't even look at the numbers anymore. Like I post a video, like I can't explain it. I put out a video this weekend. It was episode 9 of the Graveyard House. It was like 2 of 10. I was like, oh, good. Okay. That's pleasant. By 3:00 in the afternoon, it was like 5 of 10. And now it's like 6 of 10. Like, I have no idea what's going on with this algorithm. I'm proud of that episode. I get some really heartfelt. Episode 9 of the Graveyard House is fun. Mike is becoming a real character. Mike is constantly jabbing me about that I've wasted my money on this house. I think it's funny because this is the type of things people would argue with you behind the scenes. I'm just showing it. But Mike is funny about it because he's a real comedian. He's like he's the class clown in the firehouse. He says everybody's always scared of him. But now it's just me and him. He's making fun of me for buying this house. And anyway, I get I've also taken big swings. People are like, I can't believe you're doing this and you're doing that. I'm like, I don't know. It feels like it's the right thing to do. I really want to fix it correctly. So there's a lot of risk taking there. But I don't know. I don't know if the algorithm has any. I really don't know why. I mean, I kind of think that I'm being shadow banned, but I have no control over that. There could be somebody somewhere that literally put a table leg on my oxygen feed just because they don't like me. And the more time goes on, I believe that. I never had a viral video on any of my reels. Somebody with like 5,000 followers loosens a bolt with a torch and they get 5 million views. I make pretty decent content on Instagram. I have never gotten a viral video. Everything stops at 40, 50,000 views. Everything. I think somebody's got their office chair on my oxygen tube, I think.
I mean, it's easy you can feel however you want to. I'm not telling you how to feel, but it's easy to feel like it's not working for me and something is out to get me and something is in my way or blocking me or ignoring me or whatever, it's easy to feel that way. But when you talk to enough people that do what we do, everybody feels it to some extent.
Yeah.
That stuff doesn't do what.
But it doesn't. But like I said, after all that's said and done in my feelings, I'm still proud of the work I've done, and I really don't feel the need to change much. And my bills are paid. That's the other thing.
Where I was going was, I think as long as that is the case, as long as we are happy with the thing that we're doing, we also probably need to adjust our expectations of how YouTube is now.
Oh, yeah.
And so, it's easy for me to compare when I say a video doesn't do well, I'm comparing it to when they did really well in like 2019. And that was almost like unnaturally well, like it almost doesn't make sense why it was doing so well at that point, which is so that those high times were probably the outlier more than the low times are the outlier now. And so when I'm worried about this upcoming series, it's not that I want them to all be, I've never really had viral videos, but it's not that I want them to be viral videos. I just want them to be useful and viewed enough to have been useful to somebody. I feel like if stuff doesn't get seen, then it's not going to be useful to anybody.
I say it all the time. I think all of our libraries have value in the fact that they're going to live on way beyond us. Our children's children are going to be looking at, Grandpa Bob's video and he built the ski chalet, which they're looking at now to rehab the roof. I think there's going to be, all of our content is going to live on forever. And so I'm really proud of that fact, that it's a legacy that we're all leaving. Everybody in this community is leaving a legacy. And all this stuff comes back. I grew up watching black and white movies of the Little Rascals that were made 50 years before me.
Right.
So all this stuff is going to live on. And I think of that. I think of that as another motivating factor. It's like we're creating libraries of content that's educational content. It's going to live on. And that's a motive. And then it's also going to live on in our lifetimes in other ways of garnishing money somewhere, somehow. So I don't think we're ever going to go poor because all of our content.
Speak for yourself.
No.
I'm not worried. You worried? I'm not worried.
You're worried. I'm not worried. No, there's always going to be something somewhere. You might have lean times, but at this point we've all acquired property. We could always sell property or acquire more property, whatever. I think owning property is important. At this point in our lives, at this stage, if you're in your later years, it's a good investment. That's all I'm saying. And we've all made those investments.
I have been very proud of the projects that I've made over the last year, like over all the years, but I've really been focusing on making what I want to make. And, the YouTube gurus will tell you, come up with the hook and the idea and the title and the thumbnail first, and then make a video around that. I don't do that. I do it reverse. I make the thing I want to make, and then I'll figure out the packaging. Some videos are going to do great. Some videos are not going to do so great. But I get all these comments, especially like the video that I released yesterday. I was sharing so many comments with Kelly because they're amazing. And just even the videos doing average, a little below average, but the feedback has been so good, and it just makes me feel so good about the project. And people are saying, I appreciate that you are doing creative things. I'm getting tired of tool review videos and this and that. And I do feel that our audience, our core audiences, are smart enough, and they can sense when you're making something based on a title instead of making something based on what you're excited about. Yeah. And I got a feeling this is going to play out in the long run. We just keep making the things that we want to make, and we're going to be okay, because people are going to get tired of the sensational stuff. I'm not going to make a bed out of toothpicks. I don't want a bed made out of toothpicks. I want to make a piece of art that's going to hang on the wall.
Writing down that idea. Yeah, don't do that. That's a bad idea. Yeah, anyway, I agree with you.
That's what's my final thought. I'm going to keep making what I want to make, and I think my audience will be smart enough to understand. I know my audience will be. They'll just know that this is what I'm passionate about.
Guys, remind me to tell you. I'm writing this down. When we turn the microphones off after the after show, I got an after show story to tell you. about what we just did.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry for everybody listening.
Yeah.
I'll blog about it.
No, it's an idea that I shared on Instagram as a joke. And then somebody did it and got 1 million views.
Oh, no.
Oh, dang.
I'll tell you about it after.
Okay.
Derek knows who it is.
Cool. Well, yeah, any other thoughts on this?
No.
No.
That's good. I'm always motivated. Cool. I'm like I said, I am just grateful that in this community, and I'm getting a little mushy because of next week, but I'm grateful for this community and the life that I lead. I'm happy.
Yeah.
And if every video is a 10 out of 10, as long as I'm proud of it, I don't care.
Mm.
I mean, yes. I do care, but I don't care. I have to act like that.
Yeah.
I got to stay face.
And Jimmy, I want to remind you, go ahead and hydrate now because you're going to be crying like all weekend long. Me too.
No,
Me too.
I won't.
Yes, you will.
I probably will.
Yeah. Okay. Guaranteed. We, at least both of us will cry at some point during this weekend, seeing everybody, because that's how we are. Yeah, that's well said. I agree with you. Cool. Well, I'm going to thank our Patreon supporters who make it possible for us to do this, like legitimately make it possible for this show to happen. Huge thank you to Making with Mog, Pete Rondo, A Pretty Big Deal Inc., Matthias Garnow, Michael Menegin, Warren Works, The New Janky Workshop, Scott at Dad It Yourself DIY, Odin Leather Goods, Rich at Low End Design, Chad from Mancrafting, Works by Solo, Albert's Woodworks, Corey Ward, and Nick Ryan. There are top supporters, but there's a bunch of other people over there. Like, I was looking through the list, Bee's Knees Carpentry. Eric at Bee's Knees. I'd never seen that name before, but thank you for your support for well over a year, about 1.5 years. We're grateful for every single bit of support we get from Patreon. You all are awesome. The comments and the helpful things, like that discount thing I got from David, that was all through Patreon. So thank you for that. Everybody gets the after show, which will be a separate podcast after this that you can get only through Patreon. So go to patreon.com/makingit and join up at any level. Everybody gets the after show. And hopefully we will see a lot of those supporters at the 500 event this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. And just so you know, anybody listening right now, this is episode 497. We're recording 500 this weekend, and we're going to hang on to it and then release it in order. I think that's the plan.
Yeah.
So, we will have a couple more shows.
But if you're there live, you'll get to see it.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of other stuff going on. It's not just us. Yeah. Like the Making Fun crew is going to do
We're going to do a Q&A, and Graz has been putting together a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. We were sharing in the chat, which has been ongoing for 5 years. We've been sharing in the chat all these behind-the-scenes because we've all just whip out our phones on all these weird little funny moments. I'll share one with you guys, which is really funny. There was a moment in time, and we're going to talk about it, where the guys were loading the truck, or the production assistants were loading the truck, and Mike, the producer, was trying not to be a nudge. He's always he's always like a doting mother, and he stayed in the background, and I just happened to be filming him while he was watching, and he just couldn't take it. Like he was having a moment alone where he put his hands over his eyes, like he couldn't watch what was happening because he thought they were going to break the prop. And then I airdropped it to Graz, and then he airdropped it back to me 2 minutes later with the song on it that I'm going to give you guys. I'll send it to you in a minute. It's just so funny to watch. Anybody can identify. It's just a guy standing alone watching what's happening off screen, and then just having the most upset, I can't believe I'm watching this and I have to keep my mouth shut. It's a laugh. Anyway, so we've been sharing a lot of clips. So there'll be lots of clips live at the show.
Cool.
And then Copper Pig is doing a talk. His podcast, I always forget the name. It's called Woodworking is Expletive.
Yeah.
Cow dung. Woodworking is cow dung, but what it says. And he asked if I would be a guest, so he's going to interview me and Derek about our artistic input as far as woodworking and stuff. So I'll be on stage all day long.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have fun with that.
So don't bother me.
Yeah, so I don't have to talk to anybody. I'll be up on stage.
Yeah.
No.
David's I want to be on stage all day.
Yeah, I know, right?
You can stand next to me, Dave.
You can stand up there and hold the mic.
Okay. Perfect.
Cool. All right. You guys got anything to recommend this week?
I
do
just
not.
sent over
I'll
to
just
the
be
chat.
perfectly honest.
Totally
I got nothing.
I put in the chat Handy Dandy Brandy. She's popped up in the last couple of years. She came out of nowhere and started her own business. I think she's in California. I'm pretty sure, but she's got such a quirky sense of design that's really, really interesting and beautiful and fun. She did these olives yesterday, and it's what made me think of it. I sent her a notice that I think these are really cool. So check out Handy Dandy Brandy. Just somebody in the maker community. She's also, on top of it all, a very good designer, which helps. And she's got a really fun attitude. So check out Handy Dandy Brandy on Instagram. I don't know if she's doing any YouTube videos.
I totally forgot and didn't think to come up with a pick, so I was going through my history here, and this is totally unrelated to anything that we do, but I just thought it was a really, really good interview, and it's Amy Poehler's video podcast interviewing Aubrey Plaza, and
I saw clips
Aubrey's,
of that. It's funny.
Yeah, Aubrey's husband took his own life earlier this year, and so,
and does she talk about it?
She does. It starts right off with that. And Amy was so good at asking questions and keeping it like, everybody's curious. But she starts off with, how are you doing today? Which I thought was such a thoughtful question because, when you deal with something tragic like that, like every day is going to be different. And it's just, and they get it out of the way, and then they have a good time, and it's a really good interview.
They're all really close friends still from the show.
Yeah,
it's like a family there. I know that from Nick, but they're all very close.
I listened to one of those. The podcast is called Good Hang, and I listened to the episode where she interviewed Andy Samberg the other day, and it's just fun. Like, you can tell that they have a relationship from like SNL and stuff. And I think Amy Poehler is such good friends with so many people that it's really fun to listen to because they're just, they have a closeness like off camera that, you can hear in their conversation. And it was just fun to listen to. He's a funny guy and she's really funny too. So definitely a good podcast. Well, I don't have anything to recommend. So sorry, but I got nothing.
Can I recommend
busy going to soccer games. Oh yeah, you got one for me?
Yeah, Ricky TV. I talked about Ricky before.
Oh yeah, my goodness,
he's just a powerhouse. I was going to recommend Ricky, but then Handy Dandy Brandy popped up. But
he's a superstar.
Ricky TV.
As far as making stuff,
he's insane. He's like a robot. He doesn't stop, and his design sense is great, and his work ethic is off the charts.
He designs spaces.
I don't know where there's that many businesses opening up on Long Island. Every time he shows a video, it's a completely new shop.
I just watched an Instagram video this morning where he took
the inlay
tiles and cut them up for this business. And like, he is, I make a project on a thing. Like,
he does the whole room.
He does the whole room. It's insane.
It's incredible. Yeah. So check. I met Ricky a couple of times. He's a good dude. Long Island brother.
Yeah, this is somebody I've not heard of, so you're gonna have to send me.
Oh, I'll find it.
Yeah.
Oh, you should be following.
Okay. Right on. All right. Well, yeah. Unless you guys got anything else, wrap it up.
Cool. See you next week.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And some of you we will see in a couple of days. Everybody else, we'll catch you next time.
See you.
Love you.